In our first track, Explore Every Angle, we welcome to the stage Dr. Brittini Brown, who will be exploring uncertainty and revealing the unexpected gifts that often accompany it.
Have you ever met a person who's so structured and organized that it's annoying? You know, the people who clean house on Saturday and meal prep on Sunday and only start new routines on Monday. You know those people, the ones who have a list for everything. To-do list, grocery list. If there is a list to have, they definitely have a list. Don't those people get on your nerves? Well, my name is Brittini, and I am those people. Myers-Briggs calls me an ESTJ, and Enneagram calls me a number 1, also known as the perfectionist. And well, I call myself an I-dotting, T-crossing, list-making planner extraordinaire who appreciates order. And that's all right with me. So it would come as no surprise to you that when life presented the perfect opportunity for me to get my first puppy, I went about the process the exact same way I go about my life, planned and in order. I found the right breeder, the right dog, bought all the right stuff, and was excited to pick up my new puppy on August 5th. So you can imagine how I felt when I read the email from UMBC that said, all departments will be staffed on August 9th. Now that was not a part of the plan. I was supposed to have months to crate train and potty train and find a vet, and 4 days just wasn't enough time to do that. So what do y'all think I did? Duh. I did what any sensible person would do when uncertainty threatens to ruin a perfectly good plan. I made another one. I bought a puppy cam. I got not 1, but 2 dog walkers. I prepared explicit feeding and walking instructions and took myself to work just in time for opening meeting. 2 weeks passed and we were smooth sailing. Crate training and potty training were going really well. Until one evening, Broadway woke up from a nap, unable to stand and trembling all over, and I knew something wasn't right. As I rushed him to the vet, my thoughts were racing. Did I do something wrong? Did he eat something off the ground? I gotta go to work tomorrow. I don't have time for this. So this is why people take the day off when their dogs get sick. How am I so attached to this dog already? Y'all, my thoughts were all over the place. 2 emergency vet visits, an overnight stay, a spinal tap, and lots of money later, thank God for pet insurance, I learned that Broadway had contracted this freak spinal infection that would require daily meds, many visits to a neurologist, and the doctor told me we'd simply have to wait and see how he progressed. Wait and see? That's not a plan. Wait and see wasn't something I could wrap my mind around. Y'all, I had a full-blown meltdown. I pressed, I asked questions, I panicked, I prayed, I cried, I second-guessed myself. Y'all, my mama was so worried, she was ready to pack her bags and get on the first thing smoking from Arkansas to be my dog sitter, as if I had birthed an actual baby. Then finally, when I realized that I couldn't plan around the uncertainty, I did the only thing that was left to do. I leaned into it. So every day at 8 a.m., I gave Broadway his meds. And every month, for 6 months, we went to see Dr. Harvey. And before we knew it, the waiting and seeing was over. And somehow, without a plan, he was just fine. Now, I know that some of you are listening to this story and thinking, why is she telling us a story about a dog? But I hope that most of you have realized that I am not only telling you a story about a dog, I'm also telling you a story about what happens when God laughs at your plans. When the rug of life is literally pulled from underneath your feet. Am I the only one here who's ever had a plan to get ruined? Let me see your hands. This is a safe space. Am I the only one who really resonates with the words of the great poet Mike Tyson? When he said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Now I'm gonna go out on a limb here and guess that I'm not the only one. I'm also gonna guess that whatever your experience was, it probably taught you an invaluable lesson. I learned that while certainty surely has its place, uncertainty too is a gift. I learned that just because I didn't have a plan, I had a very capable canine neurologist who did. In other words, I had to trust that someone smarter and wiser than me had everything under control. Sometimes that someone is God. Sometimes that someone is the universe or maybe nature. In my case, that someone was Dr. Harvey. Regardless of who it is, when it feels like the ground underneath you is shifting, you have to trust that someone has a plan that is often bigger, better, and far beyond anything you ever could have planned for, asked for, or dreamed of. So I'll ask you, who is your someone? I learned that I have some pretty amazing family, friends, colleagues, and despite what we see on TV, I believe that there's still some pretty good strangers in the world. What do I mean? I mean that leaning into uncertainty also means leaning into vulnerability. And if you choose to do so, you'll find that there's an entire village just waiting on the other side to support you. In fact, they've been waiting on you to ask for help. Vulnerability is scary and hard, and inevitably, at some point, life's gonna shove us into it. And when that happens, there's always someone on the other side to catch you. So who is your village? Who is your community? I learned that when a freak spinal infection threatens to ruin your reputation as a dog mom, and any emotional resolve that you thought you had, in just 2 short weeks, a little potty accident is laughable, and a mishap, like eating up my journal and leaving it on the floor, is frustrating, but it's not the end of the world. What I mean is that uncertainty builds resilience. The things that would have broken us pre-COVID, last year, last month, maybe even yesterday, have instead helped us to realize that we can bend, that we can be flexible, that we can withstand more than we ever thought possible. And for that, we are even better versions of ourselves than we were before. So in the moments when the ground underneath you feels unsteady, when it feels like it's too big to tackle alone, when it feels like it literally might break you, I hope you'll remember this story. I hope you'll remember to trust the plan that is larger than you. I hope you'll remember to be vulnerable. I hope you'll remember that you are more resilient than you thought. I hope you'll remember that although we don't always like it, uncertainty too can be a gift. Thank you.